I'm there. Sweet. Cool. Let me get to it and share to tell people to tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend.
Mm.
Share in a group. You know what? We'll just hit up Flint Politics Reboot and I will share it after. Die. Let's see if anyone's popping on. Oh, damn, we are late.
Yeah, we super man.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a midweek special.
Yeah.
The Trevor was too fat to do anything on Friday special.
Right.
Okay. So, afternoon, Flint. Well, we got three people thus far.
That's fine.
Oh yeah,
Getting there. Getting there.
we're getting there. Wait a few more moments. Let some people pop on in. Everyone say their hellos and afternoons and all that fun stuff.
Mm-hmm. That'll get the fun stuff out the way.
Yeah. So, as last week, Miss Brenda sent me a live of Mayor Neely and Chief Green speaking about they had found some C4. Compound 4 is a very fun material, and I say this in a professional capacity from when I was in the United States Army. And I wasn't just a paper pusher, though I do look like it now. I'm a combat veteran. I'm a guy who used to walk out, get shot at, shoot back, and blow things up. I do have experience with explosives such as C4, uh, basic explosives like TNT in the form of hand grenades, high explosives from the Mark 19 grenade launcher, things of this sort. And it's really messed up when your grassroots media has to play fact checker. I'm usually the one getting fact checked on Facebook when I do post, things such as COVID misinformation, yada, yada, yada. But we're playing fact checker today. So the claim from Chief Green, if he, the driver and purchaser of the car door, we'll go into that in just a minute, had gotten into an accident, we're looking at a large loss of life. This is paraphrased. This is not the exact wording. So the story, man goes to a junkyard, buys a car door to replace his car door. As he's ripping it open, connecting all the electronics and all that fun stuff, he finds a suspicious package. He calls the cops. The cops come. They find Compound 4. Now, here's the fact. C4 is a metastable and can be detonated only by the shockwave from a detonator or blasting cap. C4 is very stable and insensitive to most physical shocks. C4 cannot be detonated by a gunshot or by dropping it onto a hard surface. It does not explode when set on fire or exposed to microwaves. Detonation can be initiated only by a shockwave, such as when a detonator is inserted into it and fired. When detonated, C4 rapidly decompresses to release nitrogen, water, and carbon oxides, as well as other gases. The detonation proceeds at an explosive velocity of 8,092 meters a second, which translates to 26,550 feet per second. Most of y'all don't care about those numbers. Most people know big boom, bad things happen. Okay, that's what Chief Green was operating on. Big boom, bad things happen. The fact of the matter is, I've set this stuff on fire, as just mentioned. It burns forever. It burns hot. It's wonderful. You could burn it and jump on it. The reason that C4 is so stable is because we ground pounders, bullet catchers, grunts, whatever you want to call us, have to carry it. We have to drive it from point A to point B, or we have to throw it on our backs. You fall off a mountain and you impact and it blows up. It's not a very useful tool in our arsenal. You're transporting it in, say, an MRAP or a Humvee, and a V-bed goes off or an IED goes off, and then you have a secondary explosion from your tool. It is not very useful. The U.S. developed this stuff so grunts can carry it without the fear of falling over and blowing themselves up. And the fact that our police chief, chief of police, and mayor are sitting there speaking on something they know absolutely nothing about is highly irritating to me. Chief Green, if you do not know, say, I know this is dangerous. I know this should not be outside of military hands. And then have someone from bomb squad come up. I mean, hell, Sheriff Swanson, I know that man has either got experience or has someone with experience. I know you have veterans on your payroll that can come up there and speak about how C4 is used and how deadly it can be or how it can be utilized. But just standing there saying if he gets into a car accident, that is spreading fear for no damned reason. That is saying that we could have accidentally had a car accident and blown up one of our buildings downtown or a residential neighborhood. That cannot happen with C4. It takes a very precise shockwave. What he was thinking would happen, I don't know if you guys can see this too well. This is a picture of the USS Cole. This hole here was caused by a couple 100 pounds of C4 in October of 2020. That is, like I said, the USS Cole, a U.S. Navy destroyer that is several inches of steel. This thing is meant to take a pounding. That could not happen with just an impact. That could not happen in Flint unless someone had the detonators. Without the detonators and the electric starter to do so, it is Play-Doh. I mean, literally, it rolls like Play-Doh. I went to a demolition course. We had to take C4 and other explosive compounds and use it to breach doors or obstacles. So what we did is we took the package, opened it up, took a chunklet, rolled it out, placed it along the seam of the door. I passed the course, not too great because I was too timid with it. A lot of people are going to be sitting there going, timid with C4 with explosives? Yes, I was using barely enough to crack the door when they wanted the door to fly inward. Hey, it's part of my religion. I'm a devout coward when it comes to things that can blow me up. So speaking on that, me terrified of things that can blow me up. Hell, I don't even like using a propane grill. Saying that I am comfortable around C4 is an understatement when it does not have the detonator. And I'm just really let down that our chief of police would go on such a rant, such a tangent about how this horrible substance could have taken out so many people in the city of Flint with just a car accident. Hey, Phil. It's nice seeing Phil pop up. It's nice seeing someone that knows what's going on with C4. Because I saw so many people, oh my God. And I stepped into the comments, I made one comment, and I left it be because so many people were in shock and awe. Now, I know that some colonel is probably getting turned into a meat suit somewhere, either at probably Custer or Grayling, for a brick of C4 missing. That man's career is probably done. Hell, I've seen people lose rank over losing something as simple as a pair of night vision goggles. A brick of C4, that's a career ender. So let's move on from that. I've spoken my piece on that. I mean, I don't know why the mayor was there at all, unless it's lying about a degree or helping. So, how do I say this without getting sued? Without speaking off the books with our city council to get certain things ignored. The man is a layman in the nicest of terms. So him just being there, unless it's just for a photo opportunity, it makes no sense to me. And honestly, the man needs zero photo opportunities. He's an embarrassment. And hearing Chief Green basically talk out of his ass about C4, about anything of the sort that he knows nothing about, is also an embarrassment. Chief, Go back up there. If you ever see this, go back up there and explain how C4 works. I can send you the Wikipedia link. I'm pretty sure I can find you the U.S. Army manual for it. Okay? I promise you. Just reach out. I will send it to you. I will help educate you so you don't look like a fool in front of people that actually do know. So that's out of the way. What do we got going on here? Because he loves the camera, yes. And I want to thank Miss Brenda, I believe it was Miss Brenda, for sending me that video, because that caught my attention and instantly had me in just one of those, why the hell? I have a mat from the Air Force about it. There you go. That could be very true, Miss Brenda. She says Green was probably just saying what he allegedly was told to say. Very true. I mean, it looks good on the papers. That's why ATF sits there and, you know, takes selfies with people's firearms that they've confiscated. Which, by the way, let's talk about confiscated firearms. When the mayor was running, I think this was about April, May, there was a announced gun buyback program, and he and his wife had donated $1,000 to it. And I've seen pictures of this, and you know what was there? It wasn't the things that most people find scary. It wasn't a handgun or hardly any of those. It wasn't any of the big scary black rifles that everyone's terrified of. No, it was hunting rifles and shotguns. That was Grandpappy's old gun that was over the fucking mantle, or over the mantle. And honestly, I couldn't in good conscience, even if I did have firearms that I wanted to get rid of, go to one of those gun buybacks, especially one that Mayor Neely has contributed to. Number one, I don't think he could pass a background check. Number two, it is illegal to give a firearm to someone who you believe is involved in felonious activities. I personally believe it. I cannot prove it, but it is my belief and opinion. Say that and get that out of the way so I don't get hit with the lawsuit hammer. Yeah. So, but let's go into the election for a minute. So I assume most, if not everyone, attending and watching right now, all 8 of you, plus Mr. Mickey in the back room, watched the State Board of Canvassers certify the election. Now, a lot of people have misconstrued what it means if they do not certify. If they do not certify, it just triggers an investigation. Give me a second. I wrote it somewhere. Failure to certify an election does not nullify it. It simply cascades into a cause for investigation where weak points are identified. What that would mean in our case, through lack of security such as breaking the chain of custody, things such as the 5 out of 6 cases of absentee ballots, which were not sealed, would eventually potentially be thrown out, period. Why? Chain of custody is broken. They cannot confirm that things were not stuffed in there or taken out. That entire box, or those 5 boxes, would be discarded. That could change the entire count. So that is just the first thing. Our board of canvassers here in Genesee County, we had one man, one hero, who he sat there, saw all these irregularities. He saw that, or he heard of candidates harassing voters, poll workers harassing voters, the failure to update voter rolls, which we can get to in here in a minute, the unsealed absentee ballot boxes. And he says, I'm not putting my name on this. There is no way in hell you can convince me that this was done properly, whether by accident, whether by negligence, or by malice. There is too much wrong with this for me to put my name on it. That man is my hero. He has integrity, and he has the guts to stand up for what he believes in. To quote the old cliche, all evil needs to succeed is a good man to stand aside, and he did not. He stood his ground in front of everyone that was watching through Arthur Woodson's live. He stood his ground in front of his 3 peers. He stood his ground in front of other officials from Genesee County and said, I will not budge. Yeah, Brenda, I was about to jump on that. So, the man chose his hill to die on, and in my opinion, he chose right. He said, my conscience will not allow me to. I will not put my name on this. It went up to state. State had so many candidates, those that had been elected and those that had not. Both camps, Republican and Democrat, white and black. Every type of person you can imagine running for a office was there in every camp saying, I am not comfortable with how this election was run statewide. And when the woman running for Secretary of State, the Republican candidate, and I forget her name, though I met her staff a few times and they are great people, she sat there and named Flint. Said there are so many irregularities in Flint that she does not believe that it was a proper election. Once again, whether through negligence or malice, no one can say. It needs an investigation. What happened anyway, even though there was public speaking, there was candidate speaking, everyone was ignored. They already had what they were going to do in mind. So why even have that? It's a dog and pony show. Just strike it from the agenda if you're not actually going to listen. And that goes the same for even our city council meetings. City council, if you're not going to listen to what the people are telling you, whether it's elections or just the roads, hell, even if it's just the sunshine outside, then don't have public speaking. Yes, as part of the charter, guess what? You have the power to change it, because at that point, you're just wasting all of our time. Either we have a say or we do not. And if we do not, then do not pander to us and make us think we do. Right now, many of us think we don't have a say at all. The ballot box might as well just be a shredder box. Because what the will of the people is, so many people have come out sideways saying, I didn't vote for Neely. I didn't vote for Neely. The ones that did vote for Neely somehow either disappeared or crawled back into the woodwork and no one wants to admit it. Strange. We have ballot boxes or canisters that were unsealed. I've spoke about that a few times already. But how about candidates harassing voters? According to the law, a person shall not attempt by means of bribery, menace, or other corrupt means or device, either directly or indirectly, to influence an elector in giving his or her vote, or to deter the elector from or interrupt the elector in giving his or her vote at any election held in this state. Next, a person who is not a qualified and registered elector shall not willfully offer to vote or attempt to vote in an election held in this state. A person shall not aid or counsel a person who is not qualified and registered elector to vote or offer to vote at the place where the vote is given during an election. These are both from Michigan Law 168.932. The penalty for such, especially the second, the latter, a person who does not follow this is guilty of a felony punishable by imprisonment for not more than 4 years and a fine of not more than $2,000. But hey, we have a man from Genesee County who marries people off the books, and he gets $1,000 fines and no, what was it? $1,000 fine or a $200 fine? $1,000 fine and a year probation. A year of probation. I've known people who have been publicly intoxicated just walking down the street because they're too drunk to drive and they realized it, and they get a year in probation just for walking around the street drunk. But this man breaks laws, breaks confidence, ignores his oath and everything else, and he gets a year. So I doubt anyone's going to charge Neely with wandering around a polling place saying, hey, you're voting for me, right? No, which is intimidation.
Boy said it was a $100
fine. $100 fine? Jesus Christ. And no, I'm not taking his name in vain. I'm asking for help. Right? $100 fine. But we have a candidate running around a polling place. Hey, are you voting for me? Which is intimidation and malice. You're not supposed to do anything of that sort within what? 100 feet of the polling place? And he's actually running around inside. Then we have the poll worker freaking out on people, coming outside and trying to intimidate people, trying to intimidate supporters of a candidate that he does not support. And I don't hear anything about him. What was it? Just a catch and release? That seems to be our modus operandi here. By God, if I don't register my car, I expect to get a slap on the wrist and no fine if this is the way things go happen. Okay. But in this state, we also have a problem with updating voter rolls. From the Section 8 of the National Voter Registration Act, the Secretary of State shall conduct a general program that makes reasonable effort to remove the names of ineligible voters from the official list of eligible voters by reason of death of the registrant or change of residence of the registrant in accordance with subsections B, C, and D. Now let's go into the actual numbers. As of 2020, this lawsuit's been going on for 2 years. As of 2020, 26,000 registered Michigan voters are deceased and still on the voter rolls. Of these, 3,956 have been dead for over 20 years. But I bet you if you find some of those names, because it'll tell you if someone voted, you actually can look up if someone voted. Not how they voted, but if they did. You'll probably find a few of those names have voted. But low is for me. I am merely a peasant with a camera and a nice producer screaming out into the void because we know nothing's going to get done about it. Or I saw this yesterday with Doc Weaver, and I'm actually a witness to it as well. Myself and my wife, November 1st, we went to vote. My father died the day prior. But I figured with all the screaming and shouting into the void I've done, it'd be hypocritical if I did not vote. So I went and I voted early. As I walk in, I sit down. They run me through the rolls. Okay. They run my wife through the rolls. Okay. We get our ballots. We go to the far side of city council chambers. We fill out our ballots. We have to put them in a little envelope. Cool. Do the little signature thing. Walk up. And you know what they do? Instead of licking the envelope, instead of rolling it in duct tape or putting it in a Ziploc bag, like an evidence bag that shows if it's been opened. No, they give me a little piece of Scotch tape. You know what a Scotch tape secures? Jack. I wouldn't use Scotch tape to secure my coin to the desk. You can literally take Scotch tape off with a little bit of steam. You got a steaming cup of coffee and you want to get some Scotch tape off a piece of paper, let that steam hit that Scotch tape for a second, just peel it off. You can stuff whatever ballot you want in there. But somehow we're supposed to think that this is a secure election with practices like that? No one can change my mind on this. That there is any way that with practices like that, this election either wasn't played with through malice or incompetence. That's okay. That's what lawsuits are for. And while it's a travesty we have to go through lawsuits, this has been a trend since 2020 with Al Gore and Bush. It's sad that it's gotten down to a local level where you, myself, anyone that lives in and around Flint has to worry that a judge will or will not side with Group A or Group B. Whatever side of the aisle you fall on is a travesty that we have to rely on a judge. That we can't pull ourselves together. That is the most irritating part to me. It used to be a local election you could trust. It used to be, I know I'm going to a ballot box, I'm going to put names on this piece of paper, I'm going to fill in the bubble, and I know at least my voice will be heard. Now I think, I've been making this joke since 2016, I didn't know that I was basically telling the truth with a bit of humor. Here's my ballot, run it through the shredder. But our board of canvassers, 3 out of 4, thank God for that 4th, said this is fine. And then they go to state. They don't listen to anyone and say this is fine. Now it's lawsuit after lawsuit. They're piling in. So it's not just from the city of Flint. We've got your state reps from all over the state senators, you've got judges, you've got other positions in county or what have you, filing lawsuits. And this is going to take quite a while. Even with a judicious and speedy process, there are so damned many now. Because the state of Michigan can't pull its head out of where the sun don't shine and just simply tabulate, count ballots, and know how to keep something secure. I've got a couple $100. You know what I do to keep it secure? I either keep it in a bank account or in a safe. I don't scotch tape it to my damn wall. I don't, if something is not supposed to be opened, I don't open it. These are serious issues.
But they don't see it.
No.
The thing is like, even when you were saying the people that was down in Lance,
mm-hmm.
What did you get from it, what they were saying about?
All right, so that Republican fellow that had the blue polo striped shirt, the one that looks like all the fat that he's ever eaten went to his face, he's sitting there saying, these are unfounded claims. Dude, I am a witness to such, and you're trying to tell that to the world? You have witnesses actually watching, so now you're calling me a liar. And you're trying to say these are unfounded claims that this election is secure. I thought your party was the party of election denial. Or maybe you're just not in that camp. My friend, then the woman sitting beside him, the one that had to take every opportunity to speak, and then she kept on falling over her own tongue, like she liked listening to the sound of her own voice. She wasn't making any sense. Yeah, it's all on record and it's all documented. But as Doc Weaver and Miss Jamaica, who were sitting right here yesterday, happened to point out, a lot of things were so messed up that they're being held and you don't really get to see it. That even now with lawsuits going on, they're going to be held as evidence. And if it's held as evidence, it is no longer in the public eye until it is presented in court. That is another problem. And then for myself or Mr. Mickey or you, Mr. Phillip, or you, Miss Melissa, to get your hands on this knowledge, you have to go to City Hall or to Genesee County, and you have to fill out a FOIA. You have to beg for information. And then with City Council as of July, or not City Council, with the City of Flint as of July 1st, 2022, you have a fee for every 15 minutes they work. So if they decide to take their sweet time, oh, well, this piece of paper, it can end up costing an arm and a leg. So now I'm having to beg for information. I'm having to bribe them for information that should be openly available in the first place. This is the information age. We have the internet. I can go look up entire repositories to my favorite hobby, Warhammer 40,000, of either the literature behind it or the rules of it, or even STL files to print my own miniatures for free, and I can find it in 5 minutes of searching. But when it comes to the government of my city, it takes me weeks to hear back from them, and then they could just deny. I don't have the pocketbook to sit there and pay these people, especially if they don't like you and they take their sweet damn time. And then if they deny, you have to take them to court. Well, your denial's BS. Well, prove it. Let's go to court. I don't have the time or the money for a lawyer for that. So now it's a discrimination against the poor and the people who are dissatisfied with the way things are running in this city. A case in point with how things are run in this city and in this state. I was just speaking with Doc Weaver. I had went to Gage, the marijuana shop in the 4th Ward. I wanted to see what it's all about. I walk in, give them my ID. They check me through. They take me to a back room. It's like the Apple iStore of marijuana. I ask them, how much do you guys pull down? They go, in a week, a couple tens of thousands. Tens of thousands. Guess how much the city sees? Pennies. Why? Because people at state, no one was sitting down for the city or any of these cities and negotiating on their behalf. These are in city limits. The cities take all the risk. The cities put forth all the infrastructure to make these things work. The state takes all the taxes. and then passes off to the county. And then what the county deems it doesn't need, it passes those pennies to the city. And while I was at Gage, I got a really nice shirt, really nice folks there. And it isn't their fault that they are being used to help kill this city. The way that the state is making these damned laws, so many of these marijuana dispensaries are picking up. Sozo's, Gage, hell, you can't drive 5 minutes in the city of Flint and not see another dispensary popping up. And they're having to lower their prices down to dirt, and they're getting run out of business. So what are they doing to keep their profits up? They're having to grow, which is more taxes. And now we have, as they're running out of business, as they cannot keep up with their competitors, especially the large-scale national competitors like Gage, who, once again, great folks, there is no fault on them for this. As you drive down, you see abandoned building for lease, and it has all these marijuana signs on it still. Well, what does that make us look like? We have burned out husk of buildings all over the place. We have buildings falling in on themselves. We have more convenience stores and liquor stores around here than we do clothing outlets or grocery stores. And now we've got abandoned marijuana buildings. It makes Flint look trashy, and it makes us look like a bunch of dependent addicts on something who care more about our alcohol or our marijuana than we do our food, except that's not the case. We've been screaming and crying to have more grocery stores in the city of Flint, to have more infrastructure in the city of Flint. Hell, just to have our damned roads fixed for years. It's gotten to the point where our cars are now shaking themselves apart unless you are getting damn near semi-annual maintenance on the damn thing. But all we get is crime is down. No, the hell it isn't. That has been explained and debunked. Thank you, Tanya Burns. That our police do not have to show up for any number of calls. They can just deny. We don't have ambulances here at all. The Stat EMS has 10 buses on call on the books. Most of those are down for maintenance. Then they have a subcontractor with 3 buses. That is 13 ambulances for a city of 87,000 people. Thank God C4 is so stable, because if Chief Green had somehow been right, had that been some other substance even that had blown, we wouldn't have the ambulances to get people out of there. You know what's really disgusting? You drive down the city, you see more Michigan State Police and Genesee County sheriffs doing the actual work of the city than you do Flint police. I see 3 or 4 of them a day. I see dozens of Michigan State Police and county sheriffs throughout the city a day. In my own neighborhood, I've seen Michigan State Police. This is a side road. This is a residential area. I don't see a regular Flint cop rolling through there. And when I was running for office, I wanted to ask Flint cops so many questions. But Chief Green, being good friends with the mayor, can't get an interview or conversation with him, and you can't track down a Flint cop for the life of you, sometimes literally. There are so many questions I wanted to ask them. So I had to go and do my own researching. Apparently, we have 114 full-time officers. According to my most recent FOIA, 114 full-time officers, my foot. This is a gimme job. You receive a paycheck for doing what? Because I don't see you running around. Now that I say this, I'm probably going to get pulled over later today for speaking out. Whatever. Find me doing something wrong. Yeah, we're in Michigan, let alone America, a place where people falsify and fabricate records as a yes. Falsified records are a typical and a standard. So, let's go over today. We have a police chief that speaks just to speak, with a mayor. I'm not going to say they're in bed together. I'm not. That would be rude. But I have heard rumor that Mayor Neely's wristwatch was found during Chief Green's last colonoscopy. So they speak on things they don't know about, and then we have so many election irregularities. We have public services that don't work, period, end of fucking story. Once again, sorry for cussing, but I'm getting worked up here. We don't have ambulances. We don't have cops. We have a fire department that is tripping all over itself. You have half that actually want an investigation, that want the truth to come out, whether it exonerates these two firefighters or whether it damns them. They just want to know. You have the other half that are just saying any sort of investigation is a union, what is it? Union labor contract violation. We have city council who can actually vote to have the investigation, and then 2/3 of them can't be asked to show up. 2/3. We have heard nothing on an investigative party because it's supposed to be an independent investigation. A third party is supposed to come in with no ties to the fire department, to city council, to the mayor, to any of these. We have not heard of any company or any investigative group. I want to know when we're supposed to hear about that, how this process is supposed to go. Is it going to be, hey, we're just going to hire this group because of their impartial reputation and their reputation as being good in this paperwork, or if it's going to be a bid process? I don't trust the bid process here. I've spoken to a few council members going back to bid rigging, which show 3. First there was me and Miss Wentis. The very next day there was me. Now this is me doing catch up. Show 3 of me begging city council to investigate bid rigging for those cars. But speaking of a few city council members, some have said, well, maybe it was hand delivered and it's just given to the secretary and filed somewhere that never got to the purchasing manager. Are you kidding me? Only one business out of Patsy Lou, out of Vic Canover, out of so many of these got it right? That is a statistical improbability. And then the very next meeting, the woman stands up there and says, no, I didn't drive it. I sent them a bid.net link. Well, which one is it? But falling for the banana in the tailpipe, falling for the ooh shiny over here while something dark and shady happens over here. Councilman Murphy had called this out and then was told, hey, I'm sorry, I speculate he was told, hey, or he just has attention deficit, oh shit, shiny syndrome. And he goes, oh, what's this bid rigging? No. I want to get into arguments and waste city council's time. Granted. He gets in arguments. Sometimes they're justified. Sometimes they're not. I happen to like the man he chooses to argue with the most. But it is wasting city time. And he has completely forgotten how riled up and worked up he was that someone was trying to steal $500,000 of my goddamn money. Because you know what? I paid my taxes. I pay my city sales tax. I pay my property tax. My wife pays her income tax. Hell, I even pay an income tax on my retirement to the city. As far as I'm concerned, that is our money. That is my money. That is your money. And someone just tried taking off with $500,000 of it. But no one cares. It didn't actually come out. I don't care if it came out or not. Someone damn well tried. Someone tries to break in my house. Guess what? I'm still calling the cops. I'm not going to call it good as is. I think that's going to do us for this week. Mr. Mickey told me I had 30 minutes. How long have I been griping?
38 is cool. You're coming back on Friday morning.
Yeah. I think Friday, myself and Miss Wentis are going to go over more of these election irregularities, go deeper in depth to the laws and how these things play and what the consequences are. If Miss Wentis is here, I hope she's here. She's always here.
Yeah, she is in the chat. Before you get off, how did you feel about council last night?
All right, look, I'm going to be honest. I didn't watch it.
Okay, cool. That's enough. Because I'm so, okay, better yet. You didn't watch it. Why you didn't watch it?
Why didn't I watch it? Because it's a clown show.
Gotcha.
If I want to watch a circus, I'll wait till one comes to town. I will pay my $3 and actually be entertained instead of embarrassed. Gotcha. I mean, I love Aunt Judy. Honestly, I even like Liddell. I think she is a decent stand-up person. As a council person, I may not agree with hardly anything she does, but I like her. I will sit down, I will talk with her. Whether she chooses to talk to me now because I'm critical of just about everything that goes on there is up to her. But I like her. I never met Quincy, and I make fun of him in the way he dresses, especially with his hazmat suit last night. But I have never had a negative interaction with the man. I've never had an interaction with the man, period. I like Mr. Mays. Sometimes he grades on my nerves. I've met Mr. Pfeiffer. He's pretty cool. All right. I may not agree with him all the time. You guys hear me sing Liddell, or not Liddell, Miss Tanya and Miss Jerry's praises from the rooftops as often as I can. I think the only person I have not had any sort of interaction with is Allie and Eva. Eva, okay, no, I take back everything I just said. There is one person I do not like there, and that is Eva. I don't even have to have an interaction with her to know I don't like her.
I just like Quincy as a council person.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, I think I think him and Liddell are the worst council people on council.
That's fair. We are allowed to have our own opinions.
And he can't handle being criticized. I found that out last night.
So
he do not like being criticized.
But if I'm going to watch a circus, I at least want to see elephants and tigers and lions. I want to see clowns in actual clown makeup instead of people pretending to be clowns with some authority.
I think that's some of the worst stuff in the world.
That is terrifying.
And I'm telling you, I didn't heard. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Hey, good afternoon, Becky. I'm so sick of Liddell Lewis on this aspect as a council person, as an individual. The only one I think who probably hypocrite is Quincy.
Okay.
And Liddell might be one behind it, allegedly. Now, Quincy a hypocrite because he was so pissed with me last night.
I mean,
he was so mad.
Interpersonal reactions aside, on a
but
professional level.
But on a professional level, I think the job is too big for him and some other people too. I thought Dennis. I'm like, I don't even fool with Dennis no more.
There are times where Dennis is my hero. I've seen him sit there and go, where the hell is this money for the wind funds? We are missing so much. Did we double or triple pay some of these contractors? He called attention to that. That was a hero moment. When he didn't show up to that investigative council that he voted for, he let me down. But that hurt.
Yeah, but too, when he be letting me down, man, it's like, and I even say this with. I think, man.
Who's this Douglas talking to? Who's Mr. Stewart? I know that ain't me.
I don't know they're talking to me. But my thing is, I'm thinking, this is what I say. They're not doing nothing for the citizens.
I'll take that. And last night, I thought it was because I did tune in for like 10 minutes.
Right.
And they did designate November as Veterans Appreciation Month in the city of Flint. I thought that was cool. Yes, it's just a gesture. It does absolutely nothing for us veterans. But you know what? Thank you for thinking about us. I'm glad I wasn't in attendance because, as the gentleman said, he would like to render a salute. Typically, when I salute someone, it's more of a middle finger. And that was even when I was in the Army. Yes, sir. That he could just take that as me flipping him off.
Yeah.
So, and I just hate that. No, I hate saluting.
I mean, it's just confusing. That's all.
It is confusing.
Because I'm telling you, it's just some of the things that they do, like for the beard ring, and they didn't want to do none of that. They it seemed like everything that they know this administration do wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That them 6 councils.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? Parents with a spoiled child.
Right. So
spoiled child goes to preschool and bites another kid. Well, I didn't see it. It's not in my face. Oh, even if little Jimmy Do-Good did bite that child, they probably deserved it. Yeah. Just stop covering for him. Do your job. Be the counterbalance. Honestly, I prefer when my sections of government are at each other's throat. I prefer council unify and be at the mayor's throat. I prefer the mayor be at council's throat. Why? Because then you can screw up my life less. You're too worried about each other to worry about me. Yeah. That is my personal belief. I love it when it's done at the federal level. I like it when Congress unifies and goes at the president. I love it when the president goes at Congress. And I love it when the Supreme Court comes in and slaps them both down. Why? Because then they can screw with me less.
Yeah, point.
See?
Yeah. I guess we'll be back on a Friday.
Yeah, we'll be back Friday. Hopefully at our regular time. It depends on all the what is it? The zoo that gets thrown at Mickey whenever he tries coming up here. Lions, tigers, bears, usually turtles and snails.
And dealing with the Neely folks.
Oh yeah.
On the worst.
So yeah, you folks have a great day. Please continue to send me things that you want me to cover or take a look at or just scream about. As I think I proved today, I'm really good at screaming about things that get me riled up. Anyway.